Lucky for us, we've been able to get access to this incredible exhibition. It's a TT museum. The history here, for me being a Manxie, just simply stepping into this room and seeing some of this memorabilia and the history and the pieces that have been donated as part of this museum is simply spectacular. So I feel quite emotional, but so blessed to be here. And we've got the great man, Matthew Richardson. He is Creative Social History here at the museum. He's going to tell us a little bit more about why you're a part of it and how it became to, really. So Matthew, tell us how you came to the Isle of Man 22 years ago.
I came to the Isle of Man 22 years ago. Originally planned only to stay 3 years, but you know, the history of the Isle of Man sucks you in. When I first came here, I knew a little bit about the TT. I'd heard about it when I was a kid. I quickly got interested in it and met people like Dave Molyneux, of course, who's very, very well informed on the history and the heritage of it. And chatting to him got me more interested in it, and I discovered there were so many layers of history. You know, people said there's no other motorsport event in the world that's got as much history and heritage as the Isle of Man TT.
What a great person to tap into, Dave Molyneux.
Yeah. I mean, he's very well informed on the whole history of it. You know, his dad raced here in the 70s. He knew all the greats, people like George Odell. So it was chatting to him that got me, gave me more of an appreciation of that history. And what I like about it is there's always something new to learn.
So shall we have a little tour, if that's okay?
Yeah. This is what we call the fan zone. So the TT produces so much material, T-shirts, badges, postcards, ephemera. We have so much of that in our collection that we needed really a special part of the gallery just to display all this stuff. So this is a space that looks at all of that merchandise and ephemera that the TT produces. It's also a little bit light-hearted. We wanted the gallery to be quite interactive. So here we have a sidecar outfit that you can actually sit on. A lot of people, they might have sat on a solo, but they probably haven't sat on a racing sidecar. So it's an opportunity for visitors to come and try this out and just to get a feel for how difficult it is to get sort of into position on these things and how agile the passengers have to be. And maybe they'll take a selfie and post it on the internet. So it's a good way for us to give visitors a hands-on experience and also to promote the gallery. This is one of the star exhibits in the gallery. We're fantastically pleased to have this. In 1907, the first motorcycle TT, Rem Fowler won the twin-cylinder class. Because it was the first motorcycle TT, there were no trophies, there were no special medals, there was no special riders' gear. So there is very, very little material surviving from that first race. But here we have the hip flask that was presented to Rem by a fan, hence it's in the fan zone, a well-wisher who was so impressed by his performance in winning that very first TT race that he gave him an engraved silver hip flask, which is very appropriate because in his memoirs, Rem tells us that he was very nervous before that first race, so he had a quick shot of brandy and that calmed his nerves before the race. So it's quite appropriate that this fellow gave him a brandy flask.
Fantastic. We have a Birchall's outfit right here, but it's not any old Birchall outfit.
This is the outfit that the guys were riding in 2018 when they did the first sub-19-minute lap. So we recognised how successful the Birchalls were for a couple of years prior to that, and we've been negotiating with them because we wanted to represent them in the gallery. So we've been talking about acquiring one of their outfits. But when they did that fantastic achievement that year, that was the icing on the cake, really. We said, right, well, we just have to get this outfit. And we were really fortunate that we were able to negotiate a deal with them where we not only got the machine, but also the leathers, helmets, boots, gloves, the whole pack, even the champagne bottles from the podium celebration. So with that whole package, we were able to do this fantastic display. And we were, again, very lucky that we worked with a very dedicated conservation team to create the mannequins that you see posed in all the different positions in the gallery. And they spent hours studying videos, stills to get that to get those positions right. In particular, the passenger, you know, he's got his head just looking at just the right angle as he would be if he was looking down the road. And when we had a special preview for the riders just before the TT, Tom Birchall came in here and he just went, wow, they've got the position just the right of my hand, my foot. So he was impressed. So that was a great seal of approval for us. This whole section really looks at how the TT sometimes has been part of a wider race series. Sometimes it stood on its own. For the years from 1949 to 1976, the TT was part of the World Championship Series. So points that you got on the Isle of Man counted towards a World Championship win. And we wanted to reflect the fact that from about 1955 to about 1975, BMW absolutely dominated this event. They won almost every year. And one of their top riders was a guy called George Auerbacher, who was runner-up in the World Championship, 1968, I think it was. And BMW was so impressed with his performance that year that they gave him the clock that you can see on the wall there to mark his achievement. But this is a BMW outfit that came from Germany, actually. We were looking for some way of representing this huge BMW dominance of the sidecar scene. We didn't have anything in our collections, but through word of mouth and putting feelers out in the German motorcycle press, we were able to get in touch with Auerbacher's mechanic, who still had the outfit. So again, we were very. It's all about building contacts in the years that we've been planning for this gallery, and through him we were able to get the outfit here. So again, a great thing to have. This section of the gallery is called Motivation of People, so we try to get into what it is that makes people want to race it. I mean, everybody knows this is the most challenging race in the world, you know, there's no secret about all that. And if you want to understand something of the character of what someone who's successful here, on this side of the gallery we've got Dave's outfit from 2006 when he crashed. The outfit was burnt out. Everybody said that's Dave finished, you know, he's lost his outfit, he's been injured, that'll have knocked his confidence, he won't come back. But then that following winter, in his garage, he builds another outfit based on the one that he's lost, but he doesn't have any time to develop it. The previous outfit had had 3 or more years of development and improvement. This is engine straight out the crate. There's no time for testing, but he goes out in both races in the Sidecar TT in 2007 and wins both those races. So if you want an illustration of the level of determination that you've got to have to be successful here, I can't think of a better one.
And a great supporter of the museum he is.
He always has been. When we gave him a preview of the gallery before it opened, showed him what we'd done with his items, and after he'd been in, he texted me. He said, "I'm so honoured and privileged to be included." Well, the honour and privilege is for us, really, to be featuring his equipment, but he's a very modest guy with, you know, huge achievements in his life, but still very, very modest.
Dave Molyneux heading towards the checkered flag. You can see it now. And as Andy Fern signals the end of this second sidecar race of the week. Win number 13 for Dave Molyneux.
Yeah, it's important that we focus on the people at the sharp end of the grid, but there's also a lot of other people without whom there wouldn't be a race. And for those people, they might not ever have a chance of getting their name on the trophy, although that's everybody's dream and goal, to get their name up there with the gods on a trophy. For a lot of people, it's about beating their personal best. It's about beating people who are on the same budget as them, beating their time from last year. You know, those people further down the field have their own goals. To reflect that, we have a finisher's medal that somebody who is never going to get his name on the trophy still gets something to take home to recognise his achievement. Finishing a TT is an achievement. It really, I mean, people shouldn't lose sight of that fact. Winning is great. Winning is incredible, but finishing a TT is an achievement. It's so hard on the rider and the machinery that to complete a race is really, really special. And we have the 2 sidecar trophies. Now, every single one of the plaques on these trophies is a story in its own right. You know, there's a story of achievement behind every single one of them. And the sidecar trophy, the original one from 1923, there's no exception to that rule, because you look at the first 3 plaques, 1923, 1924, 1925, and then there's a huge gap. The next one doesn't come till 1954 because those were the years that the sidecar race was dropped from the TT schedule. Then it comes back in 1954, and then 1968, when the second sidecar race was introduced to the schedule, we got the Fred Dixon Trophy, which was presented for that second race by Middlesbrough branch of the ACU to recognise Fred Dixon, of course, who was one of the great sidecar riders from the early years. So again, so much history here just encapsulated in these trophies. When we were planning this gallery, the sidecar guys sometimes say, you know, that they don't get a fair end of the deal. Well, we wanted to make sure that they got as much coverage in the gallery as the solos do. So it's 50-50 more or less. We have tried to represent women in the TT because it's so important to recognise that right from the very early days with Beryl Swain, who campaigned to be, you know, for women to compete in the solo classes, and we have Beryl's leathers actually in the gallery. Yeah, women now compete on absolutely level terms with men, which is one of the few sports in the world where that's true. You know, there's no men's game and women's game like there is in tennis. So the TT is quite forward-looking in that way. I think the fans come as much for the heritage and the history of the racing as they do what's happening out on the track today. There is nowhere else in the world that is so steeped in its own history and measures the achievements of the riders today against the yardstick of the great riders of the past.
It's a pleasure to be here, and yeah, thank you for your time.
Pleasure's ours. Thank you very much for
Thank you. And if you haven't been to the Island Over TT and checked this TT museum out, or if you're coming over anytime soon, it's at the Manx Museum in the basement, and it's well worth a look.